Leaders from 5 Central Asian nations preparing for a White House meeting with U.S. President Donald Trump later today. The summit follows recent efforts by rival major powers China and Russia to bolster trade relations with the resource-rich region. Well, today's meeting comes as U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio underscores plans to visit the countries next year. Now, Nick Harper is covering this story for CNA live from Washington, D.C. Nick, what an interesting bunch. What does the U.S. feel reaching out diplomatically to Central Asia might achieve?
Well, Jill, really, it all comes down to two things: minerals and influence, the two things that the US really doesn't have a handle on in the region. And Donald Trump wants to change that. We've seen that incredible push from the US president to do deals around the world with Asian nations, African countries, even Ukraine, to get hands on mineral productions, especially rare earth productions, in various countries around the world. The US also wants to reduce its reliance on China for many of those rare earths. When it comes to Central Asia, uranium is one of the big issues at play here. More than half of the world's uranium production comes from 2 of these Central Asian countries. The US would love to try and get some sort of deal going where it has access to that uranium. At the moment, it gets about 20% of its uranium from Russia. The US, of course, would love to change that. So we're seeing this first summit, the first time that it's been held at the White House between the US president and the leaders of these 5 countries. It's really a region that the US has not been fully engaged in up until now. And there's also, as well as the minerals, the possibility of working out new overland trade routes, the possibilities of having some sort of route that would connect Central Asia to Europe via the Caspian Sea, a way to bypass Russia and therefore facilitate trade in a much better way. I think in many ways it's perhaps that long overdue response to China's Belt and Road Initiative. But the US showing and signalling that it is ready to engage much more in this region now.
Interesting. But what is the game plan when it comes to engaging former Soviet nations who have historically been so close to Russia, so close to China?
Yeah, it's very tough, Jill, because there have been those not just historical ties, but recent ties as well. We know that President Putin and President Xi have visited those countries in the region in a way that the US simply hasn't. In terms of the times visited, President Putin has visited the region 77 times, President Xi 15 times. There is that dominance of Russia. It has very close economic ties with these 5 countries. But also China, in recent years, has poured huge amounts of money in terms of infrastructure investment, mineral and production investment into those countries as well. So the US wants to try and gain more influence. Back in 2015, a decade ago, it launched this C5+1 initiative to try and increase ties. Not much has happened during that time, and I think Donald Trump's trying to accelerate that. He has already managed to do deals with Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. They'll be buying planes and trains from the United States. The US undoubtedly looking for more deals along those lines. But I think the US will need to be careful because it can't really be an us or them situation. Donald Trump can't ask them to give up their ties with China and Russia. So there will be that balancing act if the US wants to try and do more trade with these 5 countries.
Fascinating. Thank you so much. Nick Harper reporting for CNA from Washington, D.C.